Welcome to Mission VetCheck Training. My name is Greg Williams, Manager of Strategic Partnerships here at the New York City Department of Veteran Services and a U.S. Army combat veteran. We're so excited that you've chosen to be a part of this initiative. Let's dive right into the training. Here is the agenda for today's training. We're going to start by giving introductions to the team. Then we're going to give a brief overview on the background and purpose for Mission VetCheck. We'll provide information around resources you can use. Then we'll take you through what to do before, during, and after a phone call. This will include various situations that might arise and how to respond to them. We'll share information about the learning community you will be a part of and wrap up by sharing information and tools on self-care. Before you make your first phone call, allow me to provide a little background information on the two city agencies who power Mission VetCheck. To honor the sacrifice of New York City veterans, Mayor Bill de Blasio created the Department of Veteran Services on April 8, 2016, making DVS the first standalone city agency in the country dedicated to serving veterans and their families. Since that time, the agency has moved rapidly to connect, mobilize, and empower New York City's veteran community in order to foster purpose-driven lives for New York City service members, past and present, in addition to their caregivers, survivors, and families. DVS fulfills this mission by providing New York City's 210,000 veterans with essential services and programs focused on pivotal areas such as economic empowerment, housing security, benefits, health and wellness, and culture. Second, we have Thrive NYC, and Catherine Clark is going to represent them.
Hi, I'm Catherine Clark. I'm a program manager with Thrive NYC, working with the social services portfolio. So I work with a diverse array of agencies, including the Department of Veteran Services, Department of the Aging, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, and more. I'm a social worker with experience working in various mental health settings, including residential and community-based care. I'm also a trained rape crisis hotline advocate.
Well, who's Thrive NYC? The Mayor's Office of Thrive NYC, they oversee a citywide commitment to promote mental health for all New Yorkers. Thrive NYC partners with 12 city agencies to implement over 30 innovative mental health programs that serve hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers every year. Thrive programs reach people in the highest need, those with serious mental illness, those affected by trauma, and those living in historically underserved neighborhoods. Thrive programs also break down barriers to care for all New Yorkers by providing free services in multiple languages, regardless of insurance or immigration status. All of Thrive NYC's work prioritizes equity and inclusion and builds the evidence base for innovative approaches. There are over 200,000 veterans in New York City, distributed throughout the 5 boroughs. While some of those veterans are connected to organizations throughout the city, a number of those organizations have had to fundamentally change the way they're providing services. VFW halls and American Legion halls, they're close to being empty. The VA and other providers have moved to online telehealth. In addition to community volunteers, Mission VetCheck brings together veteran-focused organizations to implement a coordinated direct outreach effort. Each participating organization activates their staff to make supportive phone calls to their members and constituents in order to assess well-being and share resources. Now more than ever, it's important to check in on others. This is our opportunity to come together as a veteran community, much like we did in the military, and make sure that our fellow veterans, young and old, they're doing okay during this crisis. As you're conducting phone calls, you may come across a veteran who suffers from depression or anxiety, and we want to make sure that you're well equipped to handle this call. One of the resources that you can use is NYC Well. Now, if you're not familiar with NYC Well, it's New York City's free confidential support, crisis intervention, and information and referral service for anyone seeking help for mental health and/or substance misuse concerns. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. In addition to call, text, and chat options, NYC Well has an app library with a number of resources related to helping people cope with stress, depression, and anxiety. Volunteer, I implore you, if you do come across a veteran who suffers from stress, depression, or anxiety, point them to NYC Well and help them receive the help that they deserve. As a veteran myself, I always like to tell people, no two veterans are the same. You can't stereotype us. We're just as a diverse population as New York City itself. So, volunteer, this slide is here for you to better understand who you're going to be talking to on the other end of that line. And we've broken it up into 5 components to help you better understand the veteran population that resides here in New York City. So let's get into it. If you look at the upper far left-hand corner of the slide, you're going to see the breakdown of our veteran population by gender. And if you look at the far bottom left-hand corner of the slide, you're going to see the breakdown of our veteran population as it goes according to each borough. Now, if you look at the center of the slide, you're going to see the breakdown of our veteran population by age. And if you go to the upper right-hand corner of the slide, you're going to see the breakdown of our veteran population by ethnicity. Now, lastly, at the bottom far right-hand corner of the slide, you're going to see the breakdown of our veteran population by era of conflict. Again, volunteer, I tell you, no two veterans are the same, so guess what? No two conversations that you have are going to be the same. And we only ask 3 things of you. Be flexible, be durable, and be personable. Let's go through some of the first steps to take before making a phone call. It's important to consider when you are conducting your shift. We want to make sure you're in a positive mood. Make calls from quiet places that are free from distractions. Ensure that you have good reception. And you want to make sure that you have pen and paper nearby just in case you need to take down some notes. Most importantly, you should also have your resource guide nearby as you're going to be referencing this document as needed. And last but not least, avoid making phone calls if you feel you're not in the proper headspace to do so. Remember, you can't help others if you're not taking care of yourself. Before you conduct your first phone call, you should receive a call opening script. Now, I want you to understand this. You have to be as personable as possible. So we understand if you don't feel the need to read this whole entire document word for word. So I'm going to give you an example of my call opening. Here we go. Hi, Jason. My name is Greg Williams. I'm volunteering on behalf of Mission VetCheck, a citywide collaboration between the New York City Department of Veterans Services and Thrive NYC. We're calling veterans across the city to make sure our community knows that we care and we're thinking of them during these uncertain times. Do you have a few minutes to talk? End. Quick to the point, the veteran knows that I know their name, the veteran knows my name, the veteran knows why I'm calling, and on whose behalf I'm calling. If you keep those 4 things in mind, you should be good to go. To help you get the conversation started, we've included some conversation starters. Remember, the goal of these calls is to be conversational and develop a connection with the veteran. Please utilize your best judgment and consider gender dynamics. Now, we're not telling you to use all of these call prompts, but just use the ones as you need them, such as, how's your day been? How have you been doing? How's your family? What has been helping you get through these uncertain times? Remember, you don't have to use all of them. Just be able to start a conversation. As you're conducting your calls, you should be asking the following required question. Do you have all of your basic needs covered, such as safety, food, and medicine? If the veteran answers no, ask them, is there someone you can call to assist you? If the veteran answers no, ask them, would you be willing to have the New York City Department of Veterans Services reach out to you to arrange for any assistance? Remember, volunteer, if the veteran needs information pertaining to anything such as safety, food, housing, COVID-19 testing sites, finances, you have that information at your disposal within your resource guide. But if you think the veteran is in need of additional support, ask them if they would be willing to receive a call from the New York City Department of Veteran Services outreach staff to receive those additional services. Now, if the veteran answers yes, you're going to actually jot that down in your call log and in your notes section. So within your call log, you're going to check yes, and then write down any additional notes so that we can better serve that veteran. Remember, volunteer, you have several resources at your disposal: the resource guide, NYC Well, and Slack, which we'll talk about later. As you're ending your phone call, there are some call to action questions we would like for you to ask the veterans when appropriate. I mean, if a veteran is in distress or they don't want to engage with you, it wouldn't make sense for you to ask these questions. But if they're in a good mood, please ask away. So you're going to ask them, would you be interested in being contacted again by the New York City Department of Veteran Services or another volunteer in the future? Also ask them, would you like to receive the monthly New York City Department of Veteran Services newsletter? You can also ask them if they would like to participate in the oral history initiative called a Veteran Voices Project, which basically captures their military history and inserts it in the digital library for everybody to hear. And lastly, ask them, well, listen, it's important for us to connect with one another. Would you consider reaching out to other veterans to check on them? These are call to action questions that can make a difference. And we want to make sure that the veteran knows that we're not only here for them, but we're here for everybody. And not only are we here to make a difference in their life, but they can make a difference in someone else's. Here are some key takeaways we want you to take away from this training. Remember, these are social check-in calls. And while, yes, these are check-in calls, they need to be conversational. It's very important. Veterans are people. Also, when you're conducting your phone calls, please have all of your materials nearby. Have your script, have your resource guide, and please have your call log. Utilize the opening script, but be yourself. You don't have to read it word for word. Also, like I said, ask the required question. Do you have access to safety, food, and medicine? Lastly, we want you to please take away from, if anything, from all of this. You have the resource guide. If the veteran has an immediate basic need, reference it. It's in your resource guide. And if they need additional help, the New York City Department of Veteran Services, we're here to help. So make a note of it and make that referral. Now that we've finished your key takeaways, there are some things we do want you to avoid doing as a volunteer. As you're making these phone calls, please do not discuss politics with the veteran. Everybody has a right to their political standpoint, but our focus is actually assessing what the veteran needs. Second, if you're a doctor, if you're not a doctor, please refrain from giving medical advice. Third, if it's not in your resource guide, don't mention it. Don't provide any resources that have not been vetted by the New York City Department of Veteran Services. And last but not least, please don't make any false promises to the veteran. Nobody has a crystal ball and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But what we can do is we can control the now and identify what the veteran needs. So please, some of those things we want you to avoid. Respect the guidelines and operate within them. While we expect the overall nature of these phone calls to be positive, these are challenging times, and a part of the reason we're reaching out is to connect veterans to help if they need it. The following are several scenarios that could arise. We've included examples of how you could respond in your packet. We're also going to be playing out a couple of scenarios today to better prepare you as a volunteer. As you engage the veteran population, here's some general engagement tips we like for you to have as the volunteer. We want you to remember to stay calm and courteous. Now, the veteran can't see you. There's no way to interpret your body language, so it's very important for you to remember your tone and your volume. How do you say it and what you say? It's very important. We want you to remember to convey verbal affirmations and give the veteran space to vent. It's as easy as telling them, hey, I understand. I see that makes sense. Also, volunteer, we want you to practice active listening by paraphrasing back to the veteran what was said using their own words. So, if you're having a conversation with a veteran and you want to respond to them and show them that you are practicing active listening, you would tell them something along the lines of this. So what I hear you saying, it has been really hard and it's been really taxing that you can't see your loved one as much. I understand. That's practice active listening. Also, volunteer, we want you to normalize emotions, and that's as easy as telling the veteran, listen, it's totally understandable that you would feel frustrated, and there are a lot of changes that are happening in your daily life. I mean, I feel frustrated at times as well. That's normalizing emotions, and that's a very key point and a very big takeaway when you're conducting these calls. Also, volunteer, we want you to maintain a positive outlook. A way that you would convey this to a veteran is simply saying, hey, this is certainly a difficult time for us all, and we have a ways to go, but this will pass. Last but not least, we want you to know when to disengage. There are going to be some times when a conversation will not be productive and will not be fruitful. So please use that as your discretion, and a way that you can disengage with a veteran is just by simply saying this. It sounds like it's not a good time to call you. Is there another time that I can call you? And that's it. So, like I said, no conversation might be perfect. And if you have a positive conversation, great. If you don't have a positive conversation, well, here are some general engagement tips that are just here to help you along your journey as a volunteer. Now that I've shared those general engagement tips on staying calm and courteous and normalizing emotions, let's get into our role-playing scenarios.
Hello.
Hi, is this Greg?
Yeah. Who is?
Hi, Greg. My name is Jason Hensman. I'm volunteering on behalf of Mission VetCheck, a citywide collaborative amongst the New York City Department of Veteran Services, Thrive NYC, and local veteran organizations. Do you have a moment to talk?
Who is?
This is Jason. Jason with Thrive NYC, calling on behalf of New York City Department of Veteran Services.
Yeah. What's going on?
You know, we're calling all our 200,000 veterans in the city to make sure that our community knows that we care and that we're thinking of them in this uncertain time. And we just really wanted to say hello, make sure that you're safe, see how you're doing. Is this a good time?
Yeah, I gotta go to the VA in a little bit, man.
Okay, good. I'm so glad you're still connected to the VA. We just wanted to check in, see how things are going. I know you sound like you're on your way somewhere. So, is everything good in your household? Do you have all your basic needs met? Food,
Man.
medicine, whatnot?
Yeah, everything good, man.
Good. Would you like to receive a call back from us at another time?
Nah, man, I got a lot on my plate, man. They're about to close grocery store. Like, they supposed to close at 8 o'clock, but they close grocery store at 6:45, man. So I gotta get to the grocery store and get over to the VA.
Got it. Have you been making it to the grocery store though? You have enough food and everything?
Yeah, man. Yeah, just gotta beat them lines. You gotta stand outside. With your bag and everything. It's cold outside, man.
Yeah, it is. Hopefully it'll start warming up a little bit. Today looks a little nice.
I gotta get to the store.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. Thanks for talking to me. And hopefully we'll chat soon.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, thanks, Greg.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, volunteer. After each call, you will complete the call log in Call Hub, including making note of any veteran that needs a DVS referral. You should also feel free to reach out to your volunteer manager if you need to debrief a call at any time. Different scenarios will arise, and you should feel comfortable leaning on your volunteer manager, whether you're asking a clarifying question about resources or you want to talk about an emotional call you had, they're there for you. Also, remember to use Slack as a resource if you need to. Again, we're going to cover that a little bit later. If a veteran is hesitant to accept assistance or referral, you may say something along the following lines. Now, here are 3 responses you can use. They're different responses. I'm just going to use one of them, and it's going to be the middle one. I really like that one. It goes as such. I know it can be challenging to reach out for support, especially if this is something out of your norm, but things aren't normal right now. It's okay to make use of the resources available. They're here for this very purpose, and all of this will pass. Would you be open to hearing about them? Remember, these are just 3 responses that we're suggesting you use to connect to the veterans and engage the veteran. Now, we know that these responses may not be perfect, but all we can do is ask that you make that effort.
If you are speaking with a veteran and the veteran would like to be connected to a behavioral health support, you can connect them to the Veteran Crisis Line, which is a free, anonymous, confidential resource that's available to anyone, even if you're not registered with the VA or enrolled in VA healthcare. If this situation arises, please inform your volunteer manager and make note of it in Call Hub. If the veteran needs ongoing or future support, you can complete a referral to DVS with the veteran's consent and provide them with additional resources, such as NYC Well, or the Department for the Aging, which also has a mental health hotline. This project is in place because current times are difficult for everyone, and while you're certainly not responsible for conducting a suicide screening, we do want you to practice active listening and be aware for any warning signs of suicide and how to respond. So today we'll discuss various signs of suicide, including talk, mood, and behavior, as well as how to ask about suicide. Okay, so they fall into 3 general categories. In terms of talk, there could be, somebody making statements about killing themselves or feeling hopeless or expressing that they feel trapped. However, there's a difference between suicide ideation, which is having thoughts of suicide, versus having a plan, which is really a step-by-step, thought-out action. In terms of behavior, it could be an increased use in alcohol or drugs, changes in sleep patterns, or no longer taking medication. In terms of mood, it could be a loss of interest in activities that you once enjoyed, or anxiety, agitation. However, no one warning sign alone indicates a risk. I'm sure for any of us, we could say that we've experienced some of these things in the past. So you want to just take the whole picture into account. When asking about suicide, people think that if you ask somebody directly if they're thinking about taking their own life, that you're putting the idea in their head. And that's not true. You actually want to ask very directly and matter-of-factly about suicide. So you can ask, have you been thinking about taking your own life? Are you thinking about suicide? You can ask if they've had these thoughts before and if they have a plan. You can also ask if they have ever had a suicide attempt. The important thing is to listen without judgment, acknowledge their emotions, show that you care and you're interested, and talk about resources that are available. Okay, encouraging professional help is really important. You want to avoid feeling like you have to solve their issue. You don't want to debate whether suicide is right or wrong, and you don't want to give a lecture on the value of life. Key takeaways. You want to be engaging, empathetic, and supportive while keeping the 4 guiding principles of being real, respectful, resourceful, and responsive in mind. Again, calls with veterans in crisis are highly unlikely, but we do want you to be prepared. And lastly, you are not responsible for conducting a suicide screening. Hi, I'm Catherine Clark. I'm a program manager with Thrive NYC, working with the social services portfolio. So I work with a diverse array of agencies, including the Department of Veteran Services, Department of the Aging, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, and more. I'm a social worker with experience working in various mental health settings, including residential and community-based care. I'm also a trained rape crisis hotline advocate. In terms of ongoing support to you as volunteers, you'll get a chance to debrief with your volunteer manager after every shift. You can also use Slack as a learning community, so you'll be invited to the channel and you can ask questions and share stories. However, just make sure that you're not sharing any personal identifying information of veterans on there. We encourage you to further polish your veteran community engagement skills by taking part in the following optional virtual training videos presented by PsychArmor. If you're interested in deepening your skill set even further, please consider signing up for PsychArmor's free Veteran Ready certification program. To learn more, email vetcheck@veterans.nyc.gov.
So, volunteer, here are some key takeaways from this training. These are social check-in calls, but they have to be conducted in a conversational manner. That is the only way you're going to really connect with that veteran. Be engaging, be empathetic, be supportive. We want you to be real, be respectful, be resourceful, and be responsive. Remember, volunteer, take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of somebody else? And last but not least, complete your call log and communicate with your volunteer manager. If you have a question, lean on them for a better understanding. Well, that's it. Thank you so much, volunteer, for your participation in today's training, and we look forward to you starting your calls. Thank you.